We are live. Welcome to Head On with Michael. Welcome all those who are coming in now and all those who are going to be watching here later and years from now, because this information is about you and about not political, not financial. This is about your spirit, balancing yourself. And if there's anything what's going on in this world, is an imbalance. So this is a place where we want you to just think about yourself. Take stock in where you are right now. And today we're going to be talking with Hedaru, who's been on the show many times. We're going to be talking about forgiveness. It's so funny because that word give is in there. So is forgiveness a gift? Well, we're going to be discussing that. Now, also, we're going to be talking about her essential oils from the Hedaru's chamber. And she's been doing that for 15 years, and I've been basically using her essential oils for around that long myself, too. So before we bring her in, let's just talk about forgiveness. This is from Berkeley. Psychologists generally define forgiveness as a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards a person or group who has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserve your forgiveness. Just as important as defining what forgiveness is, though, is understanding what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness brings the forgiver peace of mind and frees him or her from corrosive anger. Some debate over whether true forgiveness requires positive feelings toward the offender. Experts agree that it at least involves letting go of deeply held negative feelings. Now, I'm sure Hedaru is going to come up with another definition here. So, every time before we do a show here and a particular subject that she wants to go over, I have to go over it within myself and how it affects me and whether or not I'm a forgiver or whether or not I haven't forgiven. And I realized, oh, yes, I'm both. I have forgive, yes. And yes, I do have unforgiveness. Okay. So these are questions here on whether or not is there true forgiveness. I mean, do you have to do it? Does it, there's some people that have done something to you so wrong that you can't forgive them. Does that mean that you're the one who has to pay for it? So, and my thought is, well, how I got rid of that was I forgave myself. So that's the closest I can come. But I will say, deep down, this is a great subject. And with that said, let's bring in Hedaru. How do you
Hi,
do?
everybody. Hi. Hi.
The dance in Las Vegas lady.
The dancing yogini.
Took time out
Yeah,
from the dance floor, 72
I,
years old. Oh, getting ready. She got a birthday coming.
that's true. Very true. And,
Hedaru.
I told you I've been attempting to enlighten people because it's New Year's Day, that the world seems to think it's the heralding of a new year. But no, y'all, it's my birthday. The whole world is celebrating my birthday.
Well, I would love to do a show on your birthday to get
Okay.
your perspective. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. All
So,
right.
anyway, so we haven't been on in a while because some things have been going on here, but it's so good
Mm,
to have you back.
thank you. Glad to be back.
Yeah. So you picked a tough subject here. When I
Mm,
again we I think we've talked. Well, we've talked. Sometimes we review. We do repeat something, but the
mhm.
forgiveness I think we've talked about before because it's so really it's so important. So
Right.
before we get going, I want you to just for people who haven't seen you in a while to just talk
Mhm.
about the chakras and what that means, how important they are to someone who's like never heard of them, and then just kind of bring in forgiveness. And with that, you have the floor. Thank you
All
again.
right. My pleasure. Well, first of all, I have taught different aspects of yoga since 1969. And when I was teaching at UC Santa Barbara, I got one of those inner messages from my spiritual guides, whom I call the ancestors, They wanted me to concentrate on healing by focusing on the chakra centers. Well, that surprised me because I thought all these years that's what I have been doing. They had another plan. And a few years later, it didn't happen immediately, but a few years later, I was asked to put some oils together, some essential oils. And I didn't hesitate. I said, sure. I should have thought about it because it wasn't something I had been doing. I just automatically said, sure. I got another one of those inner messages. I'm clairaudient. I hear from the other side. And my guides were speaking to me and they said, these are the two oils, Majmua, which is an Indian oil, and Egyptian musk. They told me how much of each to put together. I gave this to the person that asked. We would go places and we're getting really positive comments about it. But what really got my attention were the people who said, I wasn't feeling well. And you came into the room and I could smell this scent and automatically I started feeling better. And so there was so much of that taking place. I said, okay, something's going on here. So I got with my guides again and I asked them, what is this? And they said, this is the work we want you to do. I channel. And so they channeled nine sacred oils, but the first 7 were to balance the chakra centers. Now, as the thing that I want people to understand about yoga is not simply getting on the floor and stretching your body or standing on your head or whatever. Yoga is your approach to life, the posture. The in Sanskrit word for the movements is called asana, and the translation of that is posture. And when we have hundreds of thousands of postures, it made me want to meditate on that, to find out what do you mean there's so many, who actually counted all this. And I figured out that they were talking about our posturing in life. What is your posture in life? What motivates you when you get up in the morning, guides you in the middle of the day, and continues through the night? Now, I also got interested in the teachings of ancient Egypt. They began with something called Adi Ankha, which means breath is the life of the soul. That was the origin of what today's yoga is. And they understood the balance. In fact, you'll see in the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you see a scale and you see the figure with an animal head and a human body. And there is, on the scale, there's a feather, and on the other side of the scale is a heart. And the goal of the people of that time is to live their lives guided by the 7 principles of Ma'at, which means truth, righteousness, law, order, balance, harmony, and reciprocity. If you put those in action daily, then at the end of the night, when you go through, what did I live in truth? Did I live in harmony, et cetera, that at the end of life, your heart will be as light as a feather. And that was the goal of the people at that time. And so it is a goal that we can use as well. And part of that, in order to achieve that, is the need to learn forgiveness. I liked your introduction, Michael. That was really good. I liked the interpretation. It's more or less what I would say. It is not so much of forgiving, but giving for. And whom are you giving for? You're giving for yourself, because any feelings that we're holding that are keeping us from the enjoyment of life is moving against us. And that includes anger, and that includes revenge, and all those other life experiences, emotions that take away our enjoyment of life. I had a friend years ago who was involved in a relationship. They were not on, this gentleman and this lady were not on mutual places, what they wanted in the relationship. And she was being hurt by it. And so finally she worked through it. She's a Scorpio lady, so she did. I commend her on that. But one day we were talking about this. She says, oh no, she says, I realized, she says, I'm not giving up my joy. I choose to live in joy. And that gave me another hit on the word enjoy. It's the ability to live in joy. But we all have experiences, all of us have experiences in life where someone in our experience, whether it's romantic or family or work or whatever, even just traffic, participates in some actions that remove us out of our joy if we choose to do that. And so there are certain practices that we do in yoga that helps us to stay in joy. The word yoga has 17 different definitions. The one most popular is union. The one most accurate is yoke. That we live our lives guided by these 7 principles of Ma'at: truth, righteousness, law, order, balance, harmony, reciprocity. We live our lives that way, that allows us to stay, I don't like using the word in control, but at least connected to our own higher being, that allows us to stay in our joy. When we are operating in these negative emotions, we are generally doing it, there's at the root of it some sense of fear. You've taken something away from me. You've taken my joy because I had a scenario that you were supposed to follow and you didn't. And so consequently, I've given up my joy. It's your fault. It's sad when I've known people I've known who have held grudges with family members, parents they haven't spoken to in years, same way with siblings. That takes away your joy. As we're approaching this new year, it behooves us to take this month of December and ask, what is it that I'm willing to let go of in this 1 month I have before I go into the new year, that will allow me to stay in my joy? And the more you stay in your joy, the better health you have, the better prosperity you have, the better relationships you have. It behooves us to give for ourselves by practicing letting go of the heart, the difficult, the angry feelings that we have with someone because they did not follow our scenario. I believe that you can choose to forgive, but also choose to recognize that that person is no longer a part of your life. It behooves us. I remember a minister, Dr. Sue Sicking in Santa Monica, saying one time in one of her sermons, love without boundaries is foolish. And that's true. There are times when people are so involved in their own negative thinking, power reducing thinking and feeling. They like drama and they want to pull us into their drama. And for me, I don't participate. I choose not to because I want to stay in my joy. As far as the chakras are concerned, these are the vortexes of energy. There's 7 major ones. There's more than 7, but the 7 major ones are the connection we have to the higher realm, to the spiritual realm. The word spirit breaks down, it's from a Latin word, spiritus, which means to breathe. That's your life. It's your breath. You come in with a breath and you take the last breath when you leave, as the soul transitions into another dimension of life. And so with the chakras, we have, as it says, 7 major ones. The more balance we put into, the more effort rather we put into balance of these chakras, the more we are able to stay in our joy. In using the practice of forgiveness, it helps us to, for example, the first chakra is what folks refer to as the base or root chakra. And that's the one, because these are our chakras. These are the connections more to the lower realms, the earthly realms. If those are the ones that can get out of control, the ones that, because they're survival-based chakras, they're important. But what's interesting about that is as above, so below. So the more we evolve into our own divinity, the more we evolve, the greater effect it has on those lower chakras in a more constructive, more positive, more powerful way. So instead of getting caught up in, I'm giving up my power to you because you're frightening me, and I need to push you away, I'm angry with you, or I'm scared of you, the more we bring the balance there, we recognize I'm grounded in the understanding, the understanding that I am one with the one, that I am that infinite made definite. I am made in the image and likeness instead of giving into fear. The second chakra, and in the process, see, if we're stuck in that, I can't forgive you for that, that is not bringing balance to that chakra. And so that begins to reflect in our outer world. Things began to get disruptive in our outer world. We begin to lose our health. We begin to lose our basic well-being. So again, we want to create that balance. And Michael was talking about the chakra oils. That's a part of their reason for being, is to help you keep that balance through the power of the olfactory nerve that's connected to the sense of memory. There's within you that which remembers that chakra being in balance, being in harmony. The second chakra is creativity. So we're angry, we haven't forgiven someone, and then what do we begin to create? We think that we are getting back at that person. There is work that has been done, research that has been done that recognizes everything is energy. You send out something negative towards someone that hits them once. You send it, let me use myself as an example. That comes back, hits me once. It comes back 10 times and it begins to dissipate more and more. But most importantly, it doesn't affect me as much as it affects you. You're the one that ends up on the lower end of that energy that you felt that you needed to do. I'm angry. I'm not going to let go of this. And so I'm creating bad experiences in my own life. Now, one of the things that happens with people when they find out that you're into what they call the esoteric sciences, which is yoga or numerology or tarot, some of the wrong information that's been given is the idea that it's somehow devil-oriented. Let me tell you about myself.
Devil.
There's no way that I have any interest in that.
Yeah, I had to come in there on the
Okay.
It's like you're either for or against, and we've talked about this. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm like,
that's okay. Yeah, you need to share. I understand. Yeah, I mean, my family. Okay, when I was living in Texas, my niece, bless her heart, I guess seemed so different to her that she would literally introduce me as her what's the word, eccentric aunt. And it wasn't a joke. It was like, well, I'm going, you're going to find out she's a little different anyway. So let me, open this up right quickly. She's different. So she's eccentric and this is my aunt. The interest that I have in these types of teachings came to me because I was not getting the answers to the questions that I had through other teachings. And so my life path, the path took a direction where more information was coming to me through different types of teachings, but never was anything presented to me that was about harming another human being. Because the creative energy that I operate in as much as I possibly can, and that guides my life and this universe, the essence of this universe is love. And so focusing with the second chakra, I have the ability to create loving experiences in my life. Now, if somebody comes into my experience and they don't want to share that, that's their right. But I don't have to keep them in my life to do that. The third chakra is the solar plexus. We transmit and receive energy from here. Have you ever had the experience of being in someone's energy, didn't quite feel right, or you're angry again with someone, and you just automatically fold your arms across your solar plexus? Well, intuitively, you're protecting that energy field because we transmit and receive. So one of the things that we can do rather than to project anger toward this person. See, okay, so what happens with me? I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I don't get angry. Of course I do. But I find that I've learned to step back from it. I don't engage in conversation with it because I'm not operating from my higher sense. My survival energies have come up. And so I leave that person alone for a while. I ruminate, I concentrate, I meditate on it, to see where is the lesson here? What can I do to take back my power? Because if these types of emotions have come up, somehow or other, I've given up my power. So let me step back and let me see what's happening. What do I feel they need to do or to be in order for me to stay in my joy? And then when I have finally come to where I'm clear on that, then I'm able to make a more harmonious decision and decide on what type of relationship I want to have with that person. I have somebody recently that has decided what our friendship is to be. Well, that person doesn't have the right to make that decision for me. And if we're not mutually, if we're not in sync with what we think the friendship is to be, then that's not the right person for me to have a friendship. It's not friendship. See, so we transmit and receive energy from the solar plexus. Remember, we are a multi-level being, multi-dimensional being. We're not just these bodies. I learned that when I went to my mother's funeral. Before I got into yoga, I was only 18 at the time, and looking at her body and thinking, well, wait a minute, that's not my mother. And then asking the question, so I mean, with great sincerity, then if that's not who we are, then who are we? And consequently, within a year, yoga came into my life, and I began to go a path that's been going on for over 50 years to answer these questions for me. The heart chakra, to me, is the bridge, okay, between the so-called lower chakras, or the ones that are more connected to our earthly plane, and the upper chakras that are more connected to our higher plane. This is the real seat of forgiveness. This is unconditional love. This is our ability to love someone in spite of, but that doesn't mean that we have to stay in an abusive relationship in any way, whether it's a romantic relationship or so-called friendship or whatever. We have, there's a saying, choose you this day whom you will serve. Well, love yourself, and in the process of giving for yourself, it automatically reflects the love for yourself. And sometimes people come into our relationship and they want us to love them the way that they think we're supposed to love them, or that we are supposed to accept them with the negative things that they're attempting to bring into our lives. Don't do that. Have enough love for yourself to make that decision. Release, let go, and forgive. Give for yourself. The heart chakra, by the way, if you go to my website, I have it on special today. So that's the most powerful of all the oils. It amazed me. I shouldn't have been surprised, but it amazed me how quickly people latched onto that sacred oil. And then I realized, well, hell, people, there's some place within our being that understands the power of sacred love, of unconditional love. The fifth chakra is our ability to communicate. Now, if we are angry with someone and we're using angry words, and we want to continue to use those angry words, I'm a old school person, but I've also studied this a lot. I know the power of the spoken word, don't we, Micah? We know the power of the spoken word. We've spoken about this a lot. And it behooves us to be selective with the words we speak. Simple words that we use daily. I have made a big effort in my life to avoid the word can't. I learned the value of saying can. I've shared this with you before. I find it comical, but it was proven. There were a group of truck drivers over at taking tests at UCLA. They were having difficulty with eliminating. And so their studies found out that what they all had in common was they would use the SHIT. Okay, they said it a lot. And so subconsciously, the body just heard that message, and so there was none. They taught them how to say something else, and the body responded that. My friends, when we go out and we need to have a parking space, they have all the reasons. I've been working with them. Eventually, we'll get it. But they have all the reasons why they feel that there's not going to be the right and perfect parking space. We have that choice to say, I choose, I accept, I'm grateful. That's even more powerful. I am grateful for the right and perfect parking space. Thank you. Thank you, universe. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, and there. Yes.
Well, if you
Yes.
lived in LA, which you
Yes.
have and
Which
I
I
have
did.
for many
Yes.
years, it
Hmm.
is an attitude about the parking space.
Yes.
It really does mean something. Listen,
Yeah.
you did that just so well. I just have a question with the
Hmm.
time we have here.
Okay.
Okay, first, for forgiveness is it starts with a thought. Okay, a thought that someone has, then an action that somebody does to them, then a reaction on what after the action is, and then however it is, then forgiveness has to be decided. Then you also mentioned about I call box friends where they put you in a box. You know,
Hmm.
they tell you, "Oh, this is how we're going to be." In other words, they just put you in a box and here you go, get in your
Exactly.
box, and here we go. Now,
Hmm.
I have a question for the people who don't even no. I know you bury thoughts. You know, people bury trauma on them. Okay, now how is there some type of a meditation or some way that you go in to be able to enter for people to actually open their mind and to let unforgiveness be revealed on somebody that maybe hasn't done that?
My second marriage was a very difficult marriage. And having had alcoholic mother myself, having had an alcoholic mother, I had to learn some things about that. Okay, there were things that my husband would do that I didn't understand, and I wanted to blame myself. What do I need to do to make this better? What do I need to do to get him to express differently or to show greater love? Or even, and I learned that from my mother because my mother was not someone that was demonstrative. So I remember I used to have to go into meditation, and that's what helped. And I would imagine just going into my heart center and imagining light as much as I possibly could. And I've given you a way that you can work with that. You use a candle today. You can even use a flameless candle, but you focus on that flame till you can close your eyes and see it. It's going to take a minute to be able to do that, but eventually you'll be able to do it. So when it leaves, you open your eyes, you do it again. Eventually, you'll just be able to close your eyes and see it. But you can do the same thing with the heart chakra. I'm telling you, that's a very, very powerful part of our experience in life, our connection to the higher realm. I would imagine, and then I would imagine this person, my ex, in front of me, and that I would take that light and direct it into his heart. And I found that that would help me so much to let go instead of the fear or the anger or the hurt or whatever that, and that light was and would carry me through. And I can remember just I feel so relieved and so exhilarated behind it. So I recommend that. And also use affirmation. I am a sacred loving being. And when someone's done something that you don't like, you stay in that center. I forgive and I let go. And you always wish that person the best. You don't want to send, well, I hope you drop dead or, or whatever. Power of the spoken word. And that what you send out comes back to you tenfold. See, so whatever it is you want to experience in your life, you wish that for the other person.
That
Yes.
is easier said than done about
Yeah,
wishing
of
that
course.
person well.
Yep.
Okay, so
True.
the way I just look at it is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for allowing that person in your life, and that's what closed. That's how I live with it. And I want to say this: that if you don't forgive, you watch it; they'll come in your dreams. Okay,
Okay.
and if you're highly spiritual, yes, absolutely will. We're running out of time here, but I just, as I was listening to you, I just came up with the greatest thing that came to my head. The way I can describe Het Haru's essential oils is when you smell them, your nose has an orgasm.
And you all.
That was the best way I could describe it. It is
And he was behaving himself so well. I was so proud of him. I'm thinking, wow, we got through a whole show and he didn't misbehave, but oh well, never
I
mind.
knew it. You know I had to do it.
I know, but I forgive you.
Hey, it's been so great here at Header
Oh,
Row. It's
thank you.
always I just enjoy every time. Listen, I want you to hear as we finish up to follow me on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. I need 3 more followers. I just need 3 more followers to get to 1,000, and then
Oh,
I'm going to
just
be.
3.
I'm at 997.
Wow. Wow. Okay, just 3, y'all. Just 3.
Yes, I
Just
need
3 more.
3. So if you can go
You know,
follow
my
me on
can you
TikTok.
still see me? My
What? Hello?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Some reason my computer just went black on me. It said my
Yeah,
battery was low, but
you just went real quick. So now listen, everybody, go to hetharuz.com. Okay, here it is here again. Check out her all the different products that she has, but the ones that are most important, there's so many. I mean, if you go on there, you, this is her sample right here. This is, I mean, I'm sorry, this is the kit, the full kit on the 7-day chakra change, right? Bouncing the chakras, Hedaru. I think we lost her. Anyway, so give yourself an opportunity to just go there and check her out. And I think Hannah Ruth's computer went out. It happens. I mean, her stream, I've been having streaming issues also. So listen, everybody, we'll see you on the next broadcast at Head On with Michael. Why are we talking about this?